Visit elmhurst.org to explore the new City of Elmhurst website. Find out the latest Elmhurst news, pay utility bills and parking tickets, report concerns, and much more. Elmhurst.org is an ideal way to discover what Elmhurst offers your business, your family, your life.
The Elmhurst Historical Museum, located in downtown Elmhurst, is proud to present award-winning exhibits for visitors of all ages. Our Adult Tea Time Talk series, family programs, and special events make learning about history interesting and fun. Admission is free, and on-site parking is available. Visit the Elmhurst Historical Museum soon. Call us today, or go to our website for the latest program details.
Do the prairie winds blow today as they did when the Churchville Schoolhouse opened its doors for the first time? Built in 1846, the Churchville Schoolhouse is one of the oldest structures in DuPage County, as well as one of the few remaining one-room schoolhouses in Illinois still standing on its original site. Listed in the National Register of Historic Places, the Churchville Schoolhouse is a treasured landmark of Chicago's western suburbs. The restoration of the schoolhouse is a project that citizens can look to with a sense of pride, as we have worked together to preserve the integrity and heritage of this important national landmark. The goal of reopening the Churchville Schoolhouse to the public is at hand, and the entire community can take part in making history come alive for a new generation. The City of Elmhurst has worked with historic renovation experts to accurately restore the building to maintain its historical significance, to update the facility to current building codes, and make the Churchville Schoolhouse accessible for all as an interactive, relevant, living history experience and venue. The city has worked to stabilize the building, to preserve it for the future. Residents of Elmhurst and the surrounding communities will now have a close-up view of what life was like in a one-room schoolhouse in the mid-1800s. The Churchville Schoolhouse experience will feature field trips and interactive learning for school-age children, history-related tours, presentations and special events, and cooperative programs between Elmhurst and its neighbor to the north, Bensenville. Truly, the prairie winds do blow today, as they did in 1846. The Churchville Schoolhouse opens its doors again, and all of us can live the past, return to us in the present.
Well, good afternoon, and welcome to Churchville Schoolhouse. I'm Brian Berghager, the director of the Elmhurst Historical Museum, and I'm very pleased to see all of you here at the schoolhouse today. Thank you for being a part of this wonderful occasion as we gather to celebrate a remarkable building and acknowledge the power of history in the communities of Elmhurst and Bensenville. The power of history was made clearly evident to me in a relatively short time that I've been associated with this schoolhouse. On the surface, that power is perhaps most evident due to the fact that preservation of the schoolhouse is a civic act. It's fitting that our communities preserve this building because the schoolhouse is an important artifact from earlier eras of our community's lives. In this sense, we value the association of the schoolhouse with an earlier time and with its use as a site on which to conduct public education. However, it is just as valid to appreciate preservation of the schoolhouse in much more intimate terms, as a desire to sustain a link to something that is meaningful to us. as a desire to sustain our memories, to stir our memories, and to help explain who we are. Perhaps surprisingly to some of you, I encountered many examples of this as I met people associated with the schoolhouse. I met fathers and mothers who had children who attended the schoolhouse. I met the children of people who attended the schoolhouse. I've heard from people who cared enough in the 1960s for this building to become stewards of the schoolhouse at a time when the building had fallen into a state of disrepair and could have easily been torn down. I hear stories too from members of the Fisher family, the family who in about 1846 donated the land on which the schoolhouse was built. And I hear stories from a myriad of other people. Each of these personal stories is characterized by an unmistakable reverence for the memory of the schoolhouse these people will carry throughout their lives. And certainly, as I said, we appreciate the schoolhouse as a civic act, as the preservation of an important building in our communities. However, I do believe that our task at hand is to fully embrace the power of history and to pass along that reverence, that link to memories and feelings that's been related to me by so many people who have associations with the schoolhouse. Our real task is to ensure that our own generation and future generations will have memories and feelings about the schoolhouse which they can call their own. So today, I invite all of you to accept the schoolhouse into your lives, to accept it as a gift of honor for the past and as a celebration for all of our futures. Now, in addition to our speakers this afternoon, I want to thank a number of different people who have helped get us to this point where we are today. These people include members of the Fisher family, the Churchville Cemetery Association, and I know we have representatives of the Cemetery Association here today, as well as members of the Fisher family, the Village of Bensonville, and the City of Elmhurst, Elmhurst Community Unit District 205, Elmhurst Historical Society, District 205 Foundation for Educational Excellence, Elmhurst Garden Club, Bensonville Park District, and Williams Architects. I want to express appreciation as well to James McHugh Construction Company, the project manager for restoration of the schoolhouse, and one of the sponsors of today's event. So thank you all. Now there are two special guests who came a great distance to be here, and I would like all of you to meet them. Will Jan Frazier and Geraldine Graham please come forward? These ladies actually taught at Churchville Schoolhouse. Jan taught District 205 classes. Jan taught District 205 classes in the 1990s and has since retired to Tennessee. Geraldine, believe it or not, taught here for 1 year in 1954 when, as a first-year teacher in Bensonville, she was assigned to teach her class at Churchville Schoolhouse due to overcrowding at other public schools in Bensonville. It was very kind of both of you to be with us today, and as a symbol of our appreciation, I'd like to present you with some flowers.
Oh, sweet. Wouldn't have missed it for the world. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, sweet. Thank you. Are you finished with us?
Jan, I think you need to say a few words.
I would just like to thank all of you for all the work you've done. You have no idea how exciting this is for those of us that worked in the mid-'80s to get this thing going again for our children in these communities. I'd like to give a special thanks to two of the other teachers that worked with me on this project, Maureen Kaufman and Betty Warner, who are here today. I certainly didn't do it by myself. And the support of the school district, the parents, and in the end, the city and all of the rest of you. It's very exciting for us. It's a wonderful experience. And we keep hearing from children all the time of the memories that they had in coming to the schoolhouse, including the dunce cap. Thank you.
I can't be outdone. I have many fond memories of being in the school, and I'm hoping some of my students show up. So they will have to recognize me, as I'll probably not know who they are. It was an experience I will never forget, and if you'd like to hear some of these memories, I'll be available. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you for saving this historical monument.
Thank you, Jan, and thank you, Geraldine. And finally, I'd like to thank the Elmhurst Heritage Foundation for believing in the power of history. The board of the Heritage Foundation is a group of citizens who volunteer their time and their energy to the cause of the schoolhouse and Elmhurst Historical Museum. The foundation supported the restoration of the schoolhouse and is also a sponsor of today's event. So it's my privilege to introduce the president of Elmhurst Heritage Foundation, Tom Klein.
Thanks, Brian, and welcome everybody. It's a great day. We planned for rain, and luckily no rain. We just got wind, right? So, in addition to being a great day, it's also a great day because of the power of history that Brian talked about is personified by all of you here to celebrate the opening of the schoolhouse. Now, as Brian said, my name is Tom Klein. I'm the president for the Elmhurst Heritage Foundation. I represent 20 other people on our board where our mission is to stimulate broad-based support for local history, of which this Churchville Schoolhouse is a part, local history, as well as the Elmhurst Historical Museum. And we do that through advocacy, through fundraising, as well as through education here. Now, let's see here. If we see any of our board members up here, I'd like to have them raise their hands at least somewhere out there. Okay, good. They're not all working right now. So hopefully those folks have talked with you oh, thank you. Well, we'll give them a clap. Okay, because they do a lot of work. So those folks here, hopefully they've talked with you at some point during the day. If they haven't already talked with you, hopefully you'll talk with them afterwards, and so you saw they're waving a hand, and they might be looking for you also here. Now, if I could ask Mayor DeCiani to come up, and member of the village board here from Bensenville, Henry Wessler, to come up here. Okay, so just like today is the first day of the grand reopening of the schoolhouse, it's also a big day for the Elmhurst Heritage Foundation, in the sense of after many years of dreaming of both the Elmhurst Heritage Foundation as well as previous incarnations over the years of having some sort of membership program. And then even over the year, a lot of the people that wave their hand, they've spent a lot of time in creating a membership program associated with the Elmhurst Heritage Foundation. Now, you each got a little, hopefully, little flyer here that we hope you'll join us. There are tangible benefits from this. Anybody who's a Groupon groupie out there? No Groupon groupies? Okay, yes, okay. What was the Groupon groupie today? What was the Groupon? You got yesterday's. Today's was, what was it? Oh, well, that's okay. Today's Groupon was for a half-price admission to the Chicago History Museum. If you happen to be a member of the Elmhurst Heritage Foundation, you'll be able to get in for free, and you don't even need the Groupon. So that's one tangible benefit of being a member of the Elmhurst Heritage Foundation. The other more important benefit is, right, your support of local history, right, your interest in its relevance for your lives, as well as your support or the importance of it for the community at large. So with that, Brian, I think we have two little plaques here. Nope, so let me stand over here. So we'd like to present Mayor DeCiani as well as Village Board Member Henry Wessler with honorary membership in the Elmhurst Heritage Foundation. And this also is one in recognition of their positions within the community, but also as representatives of the communities of both Bensenville as well as Elmhurst. So thank you very much, both of you. Thank you all for an attendance, and hope you all join us in the Elmhurst Heritage Foundation. Appreciate it. Oh, there we go. Thank you. I got to learn this.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Okay, so whatever one you'd like to go next. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. And thank you, Harry Wessler, trustee here from the village of Bensonville. Was very cooperative, and you know, we talk about intergovernmental and how things work, and this was a prime example of how two communities came together to really celebrate a part of history. I think that's just terrific. I mean, this one-room schoolhouse was around since Abraham Lincoln was a congressman. I mean, that's incredible. And I believe it's one of two of its original that sits on its original site in the state of Illinois. So we have a significant piece of culture, a piece of history that I think is just a great thing to celebrate between both communities. We were able to have Bensonville annex this, which enabled us to bring sewer and water to this facility. So we actually have running water and bathrooms that work. And I know when I met with Mr. Fisher, and I really pleaded with him to make this handicap accessible, thanks to Tom Marcucci, our previous mayor, who worked tirelessly to get this done. But given the handoff, it was our job to complete, and Mr. Fisher really was a little torn with manipulating or changing the integrity of the structure. And we had a nice breakfast one morning at Elmhurst Restaurant here, and I told him, I said, Mr. Fisher, you left us a legacy. Now we got to use it. We got to let every kid in all of our communities have access to this. I go, you have a handicapped grandson. I have a handicapped daughter. I go, wouldn't it be nice for everybody to have access to this? And you know what? He goes, get it done. And that to me was just terrific to actually have the blessing of the Fisher family, to have a historical site that still has the designation of a historical designation from the state of Illinois on the registry of the Historical Society. The hard work that Pat Zubek and Joanne Brundage worked so hard for in the 80s, and they handed it off to Kathy Jordan, who I see in the audience, the president of the Board of Education, and Penny O'Neill, who was involved with the school district back then. And, this has been a 20, 30-year ordeal to get this done. It was not easy. I look at our state representatives that brought home money for this. Dennis Rebelletti, $100,000. Bob Biggins, $100,000. I'm sure Mr. Daniels brought some money home back when you were Mayor, Tom. I see him nodding out there. So this was a long time in the running. We're making history again here in Elmhurst and in Bensonville, working together to get things done. And, coming from being the son of a school teacher, it all begins with opportunity, and opportunities with education. And when you have a quality education, I see Darlene Rossetti nodding her head, the sky's the limit. You open up businesses, you go out and get a good job, and back then they had limited resources. This was all farmland, and they had to do what they had to do to get it done. One of the cool things that happened when we were testifying in Bensonville to try and get this passed, Tom Marcucci and I walked up together, old mayor and new mayor, and I'm walking up the stairs, and I'm looking at the old mayors that served Bensonville, and I see my uncle Jim DiOrio, who was mayor of Bensonville in the 70s and 80s, and I said, you know what, look at this. My family from Bensonville, they were farmers back in the 20s and 30s, and now we're making history here today in 2010, old mayor, new mayor, Mayor Soto, getting it done, and that's what it's all about. Times are tough, but we're working together. We're trying to bring our resources together. Bensonville paid for all the infrastructure with the underground and the sewer and water, and that was just huge. That's how we can have all the accessibility that we have here. I can't thank you guys enough for stepping up. I know times have been tough for you guys especially. So, from everybody from our city side, all the aldermen in the audience, I see Kevin York out there. I see Jimmy Kennedy, Pat Wagner. All these guys stepped up for us. Paula Pezza, Diane Gutenkopf. Anybody I'm missing from the council? Because this was a unanimous decision, I believe, to get this done in tough times where money's tight, and we're talking core and critical, and we put a policeman on the street or a fireman, and we're getting history done. But that's what Elmhurst is all about. We're a town, I think, that has a high quality of life. We expect quality. We appreciate the history. We're looking forward to the future. And as a mayor, I can't be more proud of this community, and more proud of all the people that brought everything to the table. So thank you, everyone, for all of your help. And we've got a lot of other people that want to speak. So I'm going to hand it over to Mr. Brian over here. Thank you, Brian. And actually, Bensonville. Sorry.
Thank you, Mayor DeCiani. My name's Henry Wessler. I'm a village trustee for the village of Bensonville. I've got some prepared remarks, but before I get into all those, I just want to comment again on the great weather. How about this, huh? We can perhaps thank Zion Lutheran Church across the street for putting in a good word for us today. And any rumors that you heard, I went through all Bensonville schools growing up in this community, and I did not attend this one, so there's no truth to that rumor whatsoever. Anyways, good evening. I'm Henry Wessler, Village Board member. On behalf of Mayor Frank Soto, who could not be here this evening, and all the trustees and residents of Bensonville, I'm happy to be here to celebrate the reopening of this historic schoolhouse. Bensonville's current motto is honoring our past and shaping our future. This renovation beats both those goals, preserving our rich history in this community and using this schoolhouse to educate our children who obviously are going to be around to shape our future. We strongly support this living history experience, not only for our school children, but for everybody in both Elmhurst and Bensonville that really cherish history. This project is a model of historic preservation, but is also a model of government cooperation. Bensonville willingly allowed Elmhurst to annex this land, and we extended our sanitary and sewer services so that this project could be expedited. This joint schoolhouse project is what government should always be doing, working together to enhance the quality of life for all of our residents. Almost done. I look forward to the ongoing partnership with Mayor DeCiani and the City of Elmhurst, John Wassinger, the president of the Bensonville Park District, Fisher Farm, our schools, as they create this lifelong experiences for the entire community. Congratulations, thank you. Okay. You're welcome. Thanks a lot. Thank you.
As our representatives from Elmhurst and Bensonville made so clear, restoration of the schoolhouse happened because of the support of many. And this included legislators in the General Assembly. One of our legislators who believed in the project and worked to secure much needed funding represents the 41st District, including portions of Elmhurst and other communities. His commitment to the project is very much appreciated. Please welcome State Representative Bob Biggins of the 41st District.
Well, thank you. And I had, it's easy to support things in Elmhurst. I've lived here, my wife and I, for many years. And I get to work with Dennis and Rebeletti in Springfield, and we sit next to each other on the House floor. And so when we talked about the funding for this project, he didn't have to do a lot of persuading for me at all. Now, it's not in my district, okay, but we don't think that way. And many represent government units, and you represent the entire community, no matter where you may live, and we take positions in all those activities that occur. And so that's the way we do it down there. It's very similar, and it's great to have community behind us when we do these things, and look forward to enjoying this facility as it goes forward and opens soon. And we'll be glad to march through it, and I appreciate the chance I've had to represent everybody and help them out over the years. Congratulations again to the Historical Museum, and look forward to being here with many of you someday. Thanks.
Thank you. I'd like to also thank another one of our representatives in the General Assembly, State Representative Dennis Rebeletti. He too believes in the power of history and supported restoration of the schoolhouse. He's a lifelong resident of Elmhurst and has devoted his entire life to serving the community, serving as a prosecutor in the office of the Attorney General, as an alderman in Elmhurst, and now as state representative for the 46th District, which includes portions of Elmhurst, Bensonville, Addison, and other communities. Please welcome State Representative Dennis Rebeletti.
Well, thank you very much for inviting me to attend this very important day in Bensonville and Elmhurst history. I did attend Churchville Junior High School, but it's the one over on York Road, which carries the namesake here. But you can see how that continuance, we don't forget our past. One of the things that I learned on the City Council, and Mayor Marcucci taught me, was that there's something about persistence. Things don't happen overnight, and especially in government, as all of you know, it doesn't happen over a year or 2 years. it may take 10 or 15 or 20 years. And so even though when I was on city council in the late 1990s, this project was being talked about, I see some of my colleagues out there, Norm Reinertson, Phil Jordan, Jan Vanek. We talked about these same issues that the current board members and the current mayor talked about, because we understood how important this piece of land was to both of our communities. So one of the things that we know is that times may change, people and boards may change, but our commitments do not. And so with that, it was a pleasure to be a part of this and to try to help out from the state side. And I know that you've made good use of the resources. I look forward to making sure that my son and other students throughout Elmhurst and Bensenville can take full advantage of this and learn about the past of their communities. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Our next speaker is a leader of the DuPage Regional Office of Education, an organization that works collaboratively to build and sustain a high-quality county educational community. The Regional Office of Education provides a range of services to 42 public school districts and 161,000 students throughout DuPage County. These services include professional development, teacher certification, technology training, school improvement, student support, and many others. Please welcome the Regional Superintendent of Schools for DuPage County, Dr. Darlene Russetti.
Good afternoon. Just as we're talking history a little bit, just so you all know, the first regional superintendent of schools was elected in DuPage County in 1854. And he would have come out here and he would have visited the school. He would have checked to make sure that that boiler was working correctly, that the lighting, and at that time perhaps even the candles, were not a fire hazard. They would have been checking the roof. They would have checked to make sure that well was properly maintained, etc. And we've just evolved since then. So it is an honor for me to be the regional superintendent and also to be here this afternoon. I am, in my past life, a social studies teacher. And one of the things I taught to my students, I was a high school social studies teacher, and, you know, kids come to the table oftentimes with, oh, history is so boring. I would tell my students all the time, history is the story of who we are as a people, what we value, our ideals. It's about our past, about what we judge, what we don't judge. It is about people. And when you connect kids to a story, it helps them learn. It helps them take advantage of opportunities for more learning. And that's why I'm so appreciative of what you've all done here today. I believe it is our responsibility to teach our children about our past, the good, the bad, our progress, our failures, but our myths and about our heroes, all of that. It is our responsibility to do that. And so this is exciting, and I can see many of our students walking, you know, up here and visiting and connecting to the kids that walk through those doors, you know, as well. And I just want to share with you just one little story. In about 5 years ago, Merrill Gates, who was the regional superintendent of schools in 1950, and he was the regional superintendent for about 20 years. He asked if he could come and meet with me. I didn't even know he was around. I didn't even know he was in DuPage County. He lived in Downers Grove. He was 92 years old when he came to visit me. His son and his daughter, who were in their 70s, drove him over to the Regional Office of Education. We sat for a long time, and he told me wonderful stories about things that were going on in DuPage County and our education system, and I've captured a lot of those stories because I've kept them on audio tape. And he handed me two things. He handed me an old school bell from one of the original schools in DuPage County. And he also handed me a Supreme Court decision that actually upheld his decision of a detachment and annexation land decision. And he handed them both to me, and he said, Darlene, take care of our history. And so I just want to say to all of you that were involved in this, thank you for taking care of our history. Thank you.
Thank you. In closing, I'd like to again thank all of today's speakers. They represent a broad geographical area and an extensive range of interests. I thank them for believing that Churchville Schoolhouse has the capacity to be a moving force in the lives of residents and an exceptional resource for our communities here in Elmhurst and Bensenville. I invite all of you to return to Churchville Schoolhouse this Sunday, September 26th at 1 to 4 p.m. for a public celebration of the schoolhouse. This event will include costumed actors, it will include refreshments, and it will include special performances by the Conrad Fisher Elementary School Singers from Elmhurst District 205. And finally, as you depart this afternoon, I invite you again to accept the schoolhouse into your lives, making it a link to special memories and special feelings that you might share with others. So thank you for being a part of today's event. Have a good evening.
There are several thousand collisions involving trains each year, which result in over 1,000 injuries and several hundred deaths. A majority of these deaths occur when someone is struck by a train while trespassing on railroad property. Remember, railroad property is private property. Trespassing along railroad property is not only against the law, it's very dangerous. Avoid taking shortcuts. The only safe place to cross railroad tracks is at a designated crossing. Don't get caught dead on the tracks. Stay off, stay away, stay alive.
Hi, I'm Elmhurst Police Chief Steve Neubauer. Elmhurst is a great place to live and work. However, we are not crime-free. Many people in our community become victims of crime simply because they did not lock their belongings. I would ask you to do two things. First, lock your car, house, and bike. Secondly, call 911 to report suspicious activity to the Elmhurst Police Department. The Elmhurst Police Department reminds you to lock it or lose it.